Hey, badass business owners, welcome to a new year, and it's time for us to have a conversation about your business numbers, because if you're going to start a new year, you want to set it off right? You want to make sure that you're making as much money as you can possibly make. You have goals and visions of all kinds of sales, all kinds of profits, and you're ready to hit the ground running and make your dreams come true. But if you don't do something different than what you did last year when it comes to your business numbers, don't be surprised if you don't hit those goals. You see, you've got to know where your money's coming in, where your money's going out. You need to use the tools that are available to you, so this way you can maximize the different times of the year when you do very well, and you can save for a rainy day for those months that you don't do well. You will stop flying by the seat of your pants. You'll stop making decisions based off of gut only. Okay, there's nothing wrong with your gut, but it needs to be coupled with some business numbers so you make the best decisions, especially when it comes to you investing your money or spending your money or whatever the case may be. How about those of you that are freaking out right now because you don't have any money for your taxes, or you're not even sure if you've saved up enough money for your taxes because you haven't been paying attention to how much money or what your profits even are? There's so many different things that wrap around our brain that are tied to money and tied to us knowing those business numbers. And if you could get rid of that pain and that grumbling and that anxiety that you feel because you're just not sure what those numbers are and what those impacts are going to be, even more reason for you to start off the new year knowing your business numbers. And by the way, if you find this video in the future, I don't care if it's July or August, always dive into your business numbers. You want to know those. It's never too late. You want to make sure that you get into it. And I think the important thing is that you take a pause and you say, okay, it's the first week of January at the time I'm recording this, okay? And the first thing you want to do is, do you have a clue as to what those numbers are for the previous month? If I asked you, could you go look up and find out what you did last November? Would you be able to know? If I asked, how about last July? Would you be able to know? If I asked you, are you using QuickBooks? You might say, yeah, I've got an accounting system. Okay, great. If I was to ask you, how caught up are you to it? You might go, I think I am. I don't know. I haven't really looked at it. If I was to log in and look at your transactions, would they be classified? Would you have already categorized everything that you need to know? Also, would all of your accounts even be attached? For example, I'm working on one today. Well, it turns out they have a business credit card, and the business credit card was never attached to their QuickBooks. But more importantly, those items were never even inputted into their books. So they have an entire year's worth of credit card transactions that aren't part of their numbers. So when they have been looking at their numbers, they've been really looking at incomplete numbers because they actually use this credit card on a regular basis. Yes, they pay it off, and yes, they've got great management of it, but all of those transactions, all those expenses that they spent are not in there. And that is a problem because we want to make sure we're looking at the cleanest numbers. So they might say, yeah, I know what I did last July, but do you really when you're missing maybe a couple $1,000s worth of expenses? The answer is no. Some of you guys have your personal accounts attached, and we really don't want to do that. The only reason a personal account is attached is sometimes to clean up and go find stuff, and then we need to get those puppies off there because you don't want your personal accounts attached. This is a business that you're running. You want to have separate business accounts. So for some of you, you're out there, you're still running your business, and everything is commingled. I really encourage you, separate out, have a business checking account, have a business savings account. I even encourage you to go as far as to have a business tax account. So that way, when you get money in, you automatically put about 20% into that puppy every single month from those profits. So that way you never have this anxiety that some of you are feeling right now. And if you have a business credit card, you want to make sure that you're separating all of that out. And if you have not been doing that, right now is the best time for you to start doing that because so much of your year is going to be nice and clean because it's the beginning of the year. So please make sure that you have done that and that you have gone through and you've started separating up. It's a hard habit. I will tell you, every time that I start doing someone's books, the thing that's interesting is they're all commingled and all a mess. And it takes a couple of months to create new habits because it's really easy to pull out that card, especially if there's emergencies or just not thinking. It's like, I totally pulled out the wrong card. I need to get that fixed. But what I've noticed is once those habits, they go from maybe being 50-50 to business personal to pretty soon it's like onesie twosies that kind of trickle in. It takes a few months to get those new habits, but you got to set everything up first and foremost. And that's really where the challenge is. I want you thinking more about your business, because when you have good numbers, especially if you go back and you have good numbers last year, if you're going into the month of February soon, you should be looking at last February right now, yes, 3 weeks early, and saying, what happened last February? What happened that I need to be prepared for? Was there a spike in sales any particular of the weeks? Was there certain expenses that hit that I'm not prepared for? I looked at one the other day and they had this huge hit that they took for their insurance, and I'm like, wow, were you prepared for that? Because that was a pretty big chunk. And that happens to a lot of you guys when it comes to your insurance, because you pay it on a annual basis. And for some of you, you're prepared for it. Some of you aren't. Some of you are lucky and you have it by month. But there are a lot of people out there that they might have a 5,000, 10,000 or higher hit to their insurance line when it comes on that. Or maybe they bought a bunch of vehicles and all those renewals come up at the same time. Do you know when that is? You think you know, maybe your gut's telling you, but are you prepared for it as well? Those are all of the kinds of things that you can use your business numbers for to prepare for what's coming. So this way you're always ready for what might happen. Like I said, do you even know your cost of goods for things? Do you even understand how much money that you're spending before you even pay any of the bills for the business? That's why having good cost of goods on your profit and loss are going to help you out. So this way you can see all the money that you're spending. Are you lumping everything together? There's a lot of times when I pick up people that they're lumping all the supplies and all the cost of goods together, and they're two different things. Just because you go to Lowe's and you buy stuff, it doesn't automatically make it a cost of goods. You might have two parts in that transaction. You might have some things that are parts that are given to the customer, and it's part of your cost of goods. But then you also might pick up a couple of tools that you need and you're going to take back with you. Those aren't cost of goods. Those are actually job supplies that you have for the business, supplies within that business. And you want to make sure that you're separating those out. You're keeping them as separate transactions, or you're breaking up that transaction when it's getting keyed in so you can have really good numbers when it comes to that. Same thing. A lot of people are out there spending all kinds of money and they didn't even realize how much money they've been spending on stuff. I'll get people that will turn around and go, I spend so much money on gas. And I'm like, well, how much money do you spend on gas? I don't know. I spend like $60 every 3 days, and then I got to do this, and then you go look at that's not what's going on because they haven't looked at it. Or what's funny is I do this every time I get gas. A lot of times I go inside the store too, right? And I'm going to pick up whether it's something to drink, something to eat. So you'll see this $60 gas, and then you'll see this $10 charge that is not gas, and it can't be counted as gas because it's not gas. It's stuff that you bought for yourself, and that's not going to be deductible. Please check with your CPA because there's certain rules around when you can deduct food and when you can't, and everybody's situation is a little bit different. But you kind of get what I'm talking about. There's so many different pieces when it comes to your knowing your numbers and all the things that go into it. And it's really important that you start now. Okay. Yeah. The best time would have been in the past when you started your business. The best time would have been last year, whatever the case may be. But if you have not, you need to start now. All right. And some of you are probably freaking out because you know your books are a mess and now you've got to get ready for tax season. And it's like, oh my God, I got to get my books straight and all this other stuff. How would you feel a year from now if you don't have that because you've gone back and you've made sure? There's some of you out there that still haven't paid 2-3 years worth of taxes because you're out of sight, out of mind. If I don't look at this stuff, then I feel like I don't have to pay the taxes. Yeah, you do. And at some point, they're going to come after you. All right. One of the number one reasons why businesses fail are those stupid taxes, because they're not paying those taxes or not staying on top of those taxes. And all you got to do is have good bookkeeping and staying on top of that. And it's really easy to do. You know what? Like I said, use QuickBooks. I got a link in the show notes below. Use that. If it's just something that's, especially if you're newer at it, you can probably do that. But I always tell everybody, just one of the best decisions people will make is getting a bookkeeper who can help them out and whatnot. And, but can you do it? Absolutely. Are there lots of people out there on YouTube that can help walk you through to do different things that you need to do? Absolutely. But you need to do it, whether it's you, a family member, a friend, someone local that you hire, myself, whoever, it doesn't really matter. I want you to have good business numbers. And the important thing is make sure that you connect. If you are connecting with someone, you know what? Take it a step above. See if it's somebody that's going to take the time to tell you and show you what's going on in those business numbers. That's one of the reasons why I love coaching people and I love doing those calls, because I love showing people how they don't have to be afraid of those business numbers, because all they're doing is telling you a story, and you want to know what the story of your business is. And that's the most important thing. And the hard part is if we're looking at your P&L, it's hard for me to tell you your story when it turns out there's so much missing in it. That's one of the reasons you keep hearing me talk about the fact that you need to mirror both things together, okay? You need to make sure that you get a good accounting system that you're using, whether it's QuickBooks, Wave, Xero, any of those ones that are out there. As long as you're using a good one of those and you're looking at those numbers, you need them both together to work well to be able to give you the best advice. And I'll tell you, when I first started coaching, one of the things that I noticed is I'm looking at their P&L and we're going over it, and I started realizing so much was missing. And that's really how I started back into helping with the bookkeeping side. I'm like, oh, let's get you fixed up. Let's look at what's going on and whatnot. But it's important for you that you have really good numbers. Okay, you've heard me say it: garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have the right information in there, you're not going to have the right numbers. So I'm kind of all over the board, and I'm doing that for a reason. I really want you to hear me out, that you need to take a stance that part of your 2025 goals, or whenever you watch this video, your goal is to get on track with your business numbers. It's telling you so much good information that it's crazy. And that's one of my goals this year through the different videos, is I'm going to show you some different things and ways that you can use the different reports that you have out there to help you run a better business, how you can look at seasonality and run a better business. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were having a horrible December, and they're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to pay myself. And I'm like, you're right. You're not going to be able to pay yourself. You probably won't be able to pay yourself most Decembers based off of the way your business is set up. But that's why you put money aside, those retained earnings, earlier in the year, so that you can still take a draw on your business. You can still pay your bills in December, because the business itself is not going to produce that income for you. So that's why it's important you're running your business well through the course of the entire year, because had they been doing the retained earnings, had they been investing in their business and putting money aside, they would have the money they needed in December to run the business, to buy the stuff that they needed to do, to be able to take care of the business expenses that are normal, that typically happen, and pay themselves. So that way they had Christmas money at Christmas time, even though the business tanks in December. It's not a surprise. It tanks every December. So don't be shocked that you're not making any money in order for you to pay yourself. That's why you want to make sure you're monitoring the entire year. I can go on and on and on, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and end this for right now. But if you have any questions or things that you would love to be able to see in future videos coming up this year, please put them in the comment section. I would love to see those, because I do look at them so that I can kind of get some ideas and some different things that you guys want to have more videos on. And I'd love to be able to help you out. I am looking forward to each and every one of you having a very prosperous 2025. And I just love being a small part of your journey as you do that, and as you kick some serious butt this year. I just can't wait to continue to hear from you guys, where you are now and where you are at the end of the year and where you were a couple of years ago. I just love hearing all of that stuff. So with that, I'm out of here, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now.